Imagine a high-speed bullet train screaming right beneath your feet at 250 kilometers per hour while you calmly check in for your international flight. This isn't a science fiction concept. This is the reality of Beijing Daxing International Airport. Most airport designers avoid active high-speed rail lines entirely because railways cause dangerous, destructive vibrations and generate unpredictable, relentless noise. If you build a massive glass and steel terminal over them, the structural stress can easily become fatal. But China decided to do the exact opposite. They took an $11 billion architectural marvel, the world's largest single-building terminal, and stacked it directly on top of a subterranean high-speed rail junction. It is the equivalent of building a delicate glass star over a massive hydraulic piston that never stops firing. There is absolutely zero margin for error in a design like this. If the subterranean vibrations are not perfectly neutralized, the immense glass facade of the airport will violently shatter, and if the foundation shifts by even a few millimeters under the dynamic loads of the trains, the massive runways above will crack. This is the story of how engineers pulled off the impossible feat of stacking the world's busiest infrastructure type directly over another to create the ultimate integrated transport hub. The genesis of this massive $11 billion project was born out of sheer logistical desperation. Beijing was suffocating under its own growth, and the existing Beijing Capital International Airport was operating at a crushing, unsustainable capacity. Air traffic control was constantly jammed, the runways were saturated, and China's capital city desperately needed a second massive aviation hub capable of handling up to 100 million passengers every single year. However, the chosen site for this new mega airport was located 46 kilometers south of the city center. Moving that many people across such a vast distance using traditional buses and taxis would instantly turn the entire highway system into a permanent traffic jam. The only viable solution was extreme high-speed rail integration. But the engineers were handed a radical and uncompromising requirement. The train station could not just be placed next door or across the street. For absolute zero-effort transit, the station had to be located directly beneath the airport check-in counters. This single demand transformed a standard airport construction project into one of the most terrifying engineering challenges in modern history. To house this unprecedented hub, the city needed a radical architectural vision, and they found it in the legendary architect Zaha Hadid. She proposed the now famous Starfish design, featuring a single, massive central roof covering the entire terminal, with 5 colossal concourses radiating outward. This design was a masterpiece of functional efficiency, allowing passengers to check in and walk to the farthest possible gate in just 8 minutes. But to maintain this flawless flow of people, the central main hall had to be massive and entirely free of obstructions. Traditional airport terminals require heavy concrete columns every 20 meters to support the immense weight of a steel roof. Hadid banished those traditional columns. Instead, she created an organic roof shell supported by only 8 massive, curved structural elements that look like glowing white pillars growing seamlessly from the ground. This created a colossal, breathtaking cathedral of glass and steel. But this incredible openness also created a critical structural weakness. With fewer support points to distribute the massive weight of the roof, if the structure shifted at a single point due to the shaking trains below, the entire web of steel could catastrophically fail. While the architects finalized the graceful Starfish design above ground, the structural engineers prepared for a brutal subterranean war below. To build this integrated hub, they first had to excavate 25 meters deep into the earth to establish the foundations for the train station. They were essentially building a subterranean city of train platforms and tunnels crossing directly beneath the delicate core of the terminal above. The ultimate threat to the entire project was the raw kinetic energy of the bullet trains. When a massive train moves at 250 kilometers per hour, it generates violent vertical and horizontal shock waves that propagate through the bedrock and travel straight up into any structure built above it. If you build a massive glass shell on top of that shaking ground, the vibration causes a deadly structural resonance. It would start with a faint hum, followed by microscopic stress fractures forming throughout the building. Within hours of trains running, whole sections of the custom-designed glass curtain wall would detonate outward under the impossible stress. Traditional mass concrete foundations could never absorb or neutralize the power of a bullet train, meaning the engineers had to execute a completely unprecedented strategy of extreme vibration isolation. The solution was a jaw-dropping 2-part campaign of absolute strength and highly sophisticated dampening. First, they poured the world's stiffest foundation system, using massive concrete pile caps that were dozens of meters thick to anchor the structure directly to the deep bedrock with zero tolerance for settling. Then came the true masterpiece of the project. They didn't just mount the airport terminal on rigid concrete pillars, they designed a massive structural isolation layer hidden entirely within the foundation itself. Engineers constructed and installed over 1,100 custom-engineered hydraulic shock absorbers and massive spring dampening systems at the critical interface points between the subterranean rail station and the terminal pillars above. It operates exactly like the highly sophisticated suspension system of a luxury sports car, but scaled up to support millions of tons of concrete and steel. Every single time a bullet train passes underneath at maximum speed, the foundation dynamically flexes and absorbs the violent impact through these massive shock absorbers. This incredibly complex system completely disconnects the delicate airport terminal from the violently shaking earth around it. With the base layer securely neutralized, the structure above had to integrate everything seamlessly to complete the vision. Engineers designed a massive network of custom vertical elevators and escalators to carry millions of passengers directly from the deep subterranean platforms up through the heart of the organic main hall, with zero friction or wasted time. Above ground, the custom glass curtains were engineered from specialized laminated panels and complex steel connections, allowing the massive facade to dynamically flex under fluctuating wind loads and temperature changes without ever cracking. The builders successfully choked a roaring high-speed railway junction beneath millions of tons of structural concrete and graceful organic architecture. Passengers can now travel 46 kilometers in just 19 minutes and step effortlessly into a global aviation web. This $11 billion Starfish is a towering testament to humanity's sheer architectural and engineering ambition. But for every single microsecond of every single day, those 1,100 custom pistons buried deep in the earth absolutely must hold. There is zero tolerance for metal fatigue or mechanical failure, because if that isolation layer ever stops working, the bullet train wins, and the entire magnificent structure above it comes crashing down.
Welcome aboard. Enjoy your flight.
To the best crew in the city. A successful partnership.
This is the core of the isolation damper. See how this mechanism absorbs the vibration. Now look at the full-scale system. It's designed to handle massive airflow.
I'm on the bullet train now. I should be there by 3. Tell them to wait for me.
Welcome aboard, madam. We're ready for an on-time departure.